Welcome back, everybody. Going live on the website today, we got some new property up in Fremont County, Colorado that I think you guys are really going to like. It's a forested lot located in a developed mountain community in Cotopaxi, just southwest of Canyon City and the famous Royal Gorge Park. In addition, guys, this one also sits in very close proximity to the quaint rural community of Westcliff and the neighboring Lake Deweese State Park and Wildlife Area. All of that, however, pales in comparison to the major selling point of this property, which is that it's got a fully built log cabin situated right up here at the tippy top of the parcel overlooking some beautiful mountain views. This one's 4.85 acres, priced at $45,000. Learn all about it and more after the intro. So just to start off, guys, I want to show you Fremont County here on the map. Now, this is a pretty considerable landmass in the central portion of the state, comprised of a lot of mountainous forested area with US Route 50 cutting through the region from east to west. The subdivision this property is located in, and really the word subdivision is a term I'm using loosely, is called the Florida, Colorado Acres. Now, this is another one of these regions that was subdivided from a much larger chunk of land consisting of tens of thousands of acres. So the exact breadth and depth of this region currently eludes me. That said, the area circled here on the map is, give or take, roughly the space that this subdivision takes up. And if we zoom in here on the map, you're going to see a lot of developed parcels with what look to be some pretty nice homes on them, kind of concentrated within this region. It should be noted that this is an area where a lot of the aforementioned subdividing took the form of 5 and 10 and 40 acre lots. So there's a lot of people out here with some good chunks of land and all the sort of space and privacy that goes with that. Now, I'll direct your attention away from this for just a minute because I want to point out exactly how many kind of very cool things and attractions are within easy driving distance of the property. So first, I'll just start off by saying that I didn't know much about this region before we started buying here. As I researched, however, I was pleasantly surprised by everything is just kind of right around the corner from the property. So first, about 10 minutes south in nearby Custer County, you've got Lake Deweese, which doubles as a reservoir and a state wildlife area. Of course, this is an excellent spot for some boating and general relaxation, and of course, fishing. The lake, it should be noted, has a number of species of fish, including, hang on, let me get out my recently Googled notes, rainbow trout, cutbow trout, smallmouth bass, green sunfish, and tiger muskie. Oh, tiger muskie. I know nothing about fish. Whatever the case, guys, the region is ideal for both hunting and fishing. That is the point of my sidetracking on fish there. Anyway, next up, about 20 minutes northeast of the subject property, you've got the iconic Royal Gorge Bridge, which has the distinction of being the largest suspension bridge in the country. And of course, when you have something like that, you just know a million different tourist activities were built up around it. We've got this website linked here on our main page, which goes into a lot more detail about what you can do out here, but I'll bottom line it for you and say whitewater rafting, zip lining, mountain climbing, countless trails and scenic overlooks, and of course the historic Royal Gorge Railroad are just a few of the no doubt many things that you can do in this region. I will let you guys explore that more on your own time, but it's evident, of course, that there is no shortage of great things to do out here. Now, it should be noted that Royal Gorge sits right here on the outskirts of Canyon City, which is both the county seat of Fremont County as well as its population center. So out here, you've got about 16,500 residents, and of course, in a town like that, you've got major medical services, groceries, supplies, fast food restaurants, pharmacies, and the all-important Walmart and Home Depot. So, of course, guys, if you do end up developing the property and you need bulk supplies of groceries and building materials, they will be none too far away, and this will most likely be the town that you drive to for those things, or just for some fun on a Saturday night. Now, it should be noted, guys, that Westcliff, and this is another thing that I was surprised about, Westcliff is a town of only about 400, but it's about 15 minutes south of the subject property, and they've got kind of a quaint little downtown area, as well as their own grocery stores, dollar store, and an Ace Hardware. So if you do need some of those aforementioned supplies when developing the property, you won't have to drive all the way into Canyon City because Westcliff is a good bit closer and will probably have a lot of what you're looking for. Now, with all that said, let's talk about the subject property. So first off, we normally like to include plat maps in these galleries just to kind of reiterate the general footprint of the land. That said, the plats the Fremont County has on file, let's just say that if you gave an Etch-a-Sketch to a chimpanzee and had them draw the plat, you'd come up with something which makes roughly about the same amount of sense as the plats that we looked at. So we're going to skip that, and I'm simply going to point to these Google Earth overlays that we like to create just to give you a sense of the general size, shape, location of this lot. And additionally, I want to jump ahead in the photo gallery to the drone overlays and try to walk you guys through some some details here. So I find that the drone shots aren't as helpful with properties like this simply because the trees tend to cover everything you'd like to be able to see. Whatever the case, if you go through these, you'll at least get a sense of what the surrounding community is like and exactly how pretty the region is, and to some extent you get a sense of how developed a lot of the neighboring parcels are. Now, one shot that I want to pause on, however, is this one, because I think it's illustrative. A couple important points to note, and it's one of the few where I think you can make out some of the key features of the property. So first off, this is the drone shot facing east, and if we come back here to Google Maps and kind of finesse it this way, you'll see the angle that we're looking at. So the first thing I want to demonstrate is just the road access. So as we showed you in the Google Earth overlay, this road, which is called 12th Trail, sort of dead ends right here at the southwest corner of the property. So if it helps you, you can kind of think of this as a cul-de-sac lot. Now, 12th Trail cuts through the entire subdivision, but it kind of stops and starts, and this is one of the regions where it stops. Whatever the case, the roads you see right here take you basically to the corner of the property, and of course the photos we have of it here in the gallery give you a sense of exactly what this road looks like. And I will say that this road kind of looks like it's narrowing in some of these shots. My suspicion is that's more of a cutout on the property than the actual road, but the notes from the photographer were not terribly clear on this point. Whatever the case, you can see that this is a road that's in good condition. Now, our photographer told us that for however good this road may look, most all the roads he used to get out here were all in even better shape. So perhaps you can get out there in any type of car, but of course, because of the mountainous, forested terrain in this region, we recommend, just to be safe, larger truck or off-road capable vehicle. Now, the next thing I want to point out is here in the drone shot, you'll notice this cutout space over here. That's actually on the neighboring property, and I'm pointing it out because if you eyeball Google Maps here, you'll see that whenever this image was captured, there was a trailer here. Point being, if you go to scout the property and you're trying to acclimate yourself based off the surrounding landmarks, the trailer is not there anymore, and that cutout that you see pictured is on the neighbor's property, okay? Additionally, guys, one final thing I want to show you here is in this shot, if we hold down the control key and kind of wiggle the mouse, you can get a sense of how the property has kind of a hilly terrain to it. And it's at the top, at the highest point of the property, where this cabin sits. Now, of course, if you go through the photo gallery, you'll see a lot of shots that give you a sense that the land does have a kind of gradual rise to it. And of course, there's some nice space between a lot of these trees, so the vegetation isn't so dense as to obscure the part of the property 50 feet in front of your face. You got a lot of nice cutouts here is my point. Of course, a property with a rise like this might normally be difficult to build on, but one of the major advantages to this lot is that the flattest part of the property is up at the top, and that is where the cabin was built. So, with all that out of the way, let's get into this and talk about this cabin. A couple things to note here. Number one is that according to the previous owners, the cabin was built about 10 years back and then basically abandoned, and they hadn't seen it since. So I was surprised by the shape that this thing is in, which is to say, looks like it's got pretty good bones, pretty good structure to it. Looks like it was built by someone who actually knew what they were doing, and it's held up well over the past 10 years. Of course, as you can see, the interior is very unfinished, and additionally, it doesn't seem like it was built with an eye toward installing a sink or a shower or a toilet, so there's no water lines running to this, no septic installed on the property. My guess is if you're a handy guy or girl and you're so inclined, you'll be able to get something like that set up. Oh, and of course, it should also be noted, something I forgot to say earlier, that while there are plenty of power lines and underground utilities throughout this general region, they do not extend out to the property. So this is more of what we like to call a, quote, solar-friendly property, where it's probably both easiest and cheapest to just set up some panels. And by the way, it bears mentioning, I am not terribly certain where the closest power line is in relation to this lot, but the impression I'm under is that it's at least about a half-mile away. Okay, so just an FYI on that. And finally, do just want to point out that there's a pretty nice porch right here, which, as noted, sits up here at the top of the property and overlooks the surrounding mountains. Additionally, guys, just to the side of the cabin, you'll notice here there's a bit of a campsite, which was also abandoned, and of course, is included with the sale of the property. It should be noted, guys, that here at Hemingway Land, we buy these properties as is and we sell them as is, which means not only that you'll be getting the cabin, but also, guys, this luxurious outdoor picnic set, including tables, a swing, and a grill, which very likely is not operational. Whatever the case, who knows? Use them, don't use them, sell them, pocket the cash, but once you own the property, it's your call. And as we wrap up here on the drone shots, it should be noted that while we get photos taken of the cabin, we really don't know a lot about it, so buying it from us as is, of course, means that maybe you encounter a problem we wouldn't have been aware of. On the flip side, however, it also means that if you discovered buried treasure on the property, that Hemingway Land can't come and make some specious claim about having some right to the aforementioned treasure. So if there are in fact gold bars out here, congratulations, they're yours to keep. So this is actually a pretty simple property to discuss zoning on. As we have written up here, this area we're charitably referring to as a subdivision has, let's put it up on the screen, no HOA, no annual dues, no time limits on building, no covenants, and no restrictions. That, of course, means that this property should be a lot easier to develop because basically it means you don't have to answer to your neighbors. Of course, it should be noted that while this region may be without subdivision restrictions, that does not mean that it is devoid of zoning. On the contrary, Fremont County designates this region as AE, or Agricultural Estates, which allows for, quote, limited agricultural purposes with appropriate single-family residence and provides separation from business and industrial uses. Now, of course, with a cabin already on the property, I don't know how much additional building one might want to do, but what I get from reading the zoning ordinance is that, as always, single-family residences, mobile and modular homes would be acceptable out here, as well as likely any sort of shipping container home built up to code. And as always, guys, anyone looking to learn more about the AE Agricultural Estate zoning designation can come down here and click this helpful link right here, which will bring up this PDF, which of course is an excerpt from the county zoning ordinance. And of course, guys, it goes without saying that these things are always a little light on details when it comes to questions of minimal square footage or RV usage and other esoterica of zoning. So we encourage anyone who wants to dig a little deeper on these topics to reach out to the Fremont County Zoning Office directly, as they will always know more about these things than we do. With all that said, people, if you would like to purchase this property along with the cabin and the campsite, you'll be glad to know that we closed on this through the unimaginatively named warranty title, which means we will be providing you with a warranty deed. So just come up here to the top of the page, click the Buy Now button, which will take you to this secure checkout, where we ask for a non-refundable, people, let me say it again, non-refundable $500 earnest money deposit. Now, to be clear, guys, this is not a property that has any financing offered. This is not a property where we're doing monthly payments. This is a property where we expect you to have the entire cash price. So if you do not have the entire cash price, you should not initiate this transaction. For those of you who do, however, here's the way it works. Come down here, give us the name for the deed, name for the contract, your mailing address. Then at the bottom of the page, agree to the terms of service, click Next, and on the very next page, you can enter credit or debit card information to place the $500 deposit. Now, to be clear, guys, this is an expensive property. Really, anything north of $10,000, we encourage our buyers to close through a title company on. Of course, you don't have to do that. Nobody's got a gun to your head. It's up to you. But when you're spending this kind of money, we recommend getting title insurance. And of course, one of the major benefits here for you, the buyer, is that with a title company, you've got a third-party intermediary who is not only handling the conveyance of the property, but also the disbursement of funds, meaning we cannot touch your money until such a time as the property has been deeded into your name. Now, if you're unfamiliar with how that whole process works, you'll be glad to know that on the listing page, we've got this helpful Notes About Purchasing, which goes into a little more detail here, but more helpfully, it links you to some pages on the website which will go into even greater detail about this process. The first page is called How It Works Buying From Us, and if you go here, you can see exactly how this process plays out. Step 1, you place that deposit. Step 2, we're going to draft a contract. You sign it, we sign it. And step 3, the title company will do the rest, albeit slowly and over the period of about a month. And in case you're at all skeptical about placing money before seeing the contract you'll be asked to sign, you'll be glad to know we have a copy of our standard sale purchase agreement right here. You can click that and read through a generic version of what that contract looks like. It's a pretty easy contract, one page for signatures. If you got a lawyer in the family, have them give it a look-see, but it's pretty self-explanatory. Additionally, guys, if you haven't been through the title escrow process before, you're probably going to have a lot of questions about it. You'll be glad to know we have a page on our website entitled Title Escrow Frequently Asked Questions page. So if you click on that, it'll take you to this page where pretty much every conceivable question we have ever gotten from a buyer or will ever get from a buyer is answered here. Questions about benefits, questions about potential drawbacks, timeline, schedule, logistics, so on and so forth. So we encourage you, give that a read. So in conclusion, people, as you can see, there's a lot to like about this property, from the really picturesque region of Colorado that it's located in to all the sort of things to do and see, all within really very close proximity of the property itself. And of course, the community it's located in is ideal not only for hunters and fishermen, but people who just want to own a larger chunk of land and have the degree of privacy that comes with that. And of course, you've got the cabin, which should make using the land either seasonally or recreationally that much easier. I really like this one. I hope you guys do too. Thanks as always for watching.